HUL reported an in-line performance for Q1 with the volume growth meeting the street estimates and gross margins improving by 150 basis points. Ritesh Tiwari, the CFO of HUL, in a post-earnings media conference said that they expect growth to fully recover as rural comes back in the upcoming 2 quarters. Listen in.
More than 50% of our business today is already having high single-digit volume growth. And of course, there are parts of the business which will further respond, but overall recovery has been good. Urban markets we had called out had already recovered in terms of its momentum and volume in terms of total FMCG. Rural, which is still lagging to some extent, but in last couple of months, rural market growth has started outpacing urban market growth. So I believe where we are in terms of market recovery, sans the pace of growth, which we should see next couple of quarters as rural fully recovers with full-on impact of the monsoon, which is pretty decent as we speak today, and the interventions which government has given on rural, on agriculture, on employment, on urban, all that should help us to further augur well for the economy and also for consumption climate overall in the country.
Okay, that's the word coming in from HUL. Abneesh Roy joins in. He's the Executive Director at Nuvama Instl Equities. Abneesh, hi, good morning. So the numbers were largely in line, but it was also muted, right? I mean, volume growth barely 4-5%. Do you think HUL can do better in the quarters to come? And what's the view on the stock?
Yes, we are positive, and stock has moved up 25% in the last 4 months. It's at a 52-week high. So some profit booking in the near term is possible, nothing major. But we have a target price of 3375, and we do see further market share gains. Currently, if you see, HUL is gaining market share in 55% of the portfolio. In the good times when the adverse cycle of inflation, deflation was not there, they used to gain in 75% of the market. They have done a very good disruption in soaps. They have reduced palm oil by 25%, and they'll give back the benefit to the customer. That should help market share gains in soap. In parts of the portfolio like hair color, they are in double-digit volume growth. In the fabric wash, they are high single digits. So in Q1, the muted numbers which you highlighted, I will say that was only because of the severe heat wave. That impacted tea, coffee, the Horlicks portfolio. That is no more there. Yesterday's budget clearly was pro-poor, and definitely we are going to see 2.66 lakh crores in terms of rural development, 1.5 lakh for the agri. So many state elections are also happening. So if you see what Maharashtra government has done, because elections are coming, what Karnataka has done, and other states like Jharkhand and Haryana also state elections are going to happen. So those are also positive. So I will say pricing will come back for Unilever, volume also further recovery will happen. And clearly there's a coalition government. So the investors have visibility of 5 years that this will be pro-poor budget, pro-poor policy. And urban also, if you see, there have been tax cuts. So we are positive on the sector, entire sector we are positive. HUL also some profit booking can happen, but 3375 is the target price.
Okay, got it. Hi, Abneesh, always good to hear your thoughts. Thanks a lot for joining in. So big rally is what we have already seen. But from a market perspective, from an index perspective, the street wants to focus more on ITC. No shocker coming in the budget. One of the underperformers in the last 12 months or so. Till just last week, the stock was still negative. And valuation, there is some comfort. But it's already jumped up by more than 20%, I think, in the last 45 days. What's your view on ITC from here on?
Yeah, absolutely. In ITC also, we see improvements in their parts of the agri portfolio, FMCG also, because of the rural recovery going ahead. In terms of cigarette, absolutely, you're right. There is no tax increase, and the next budget will be on February 1. So just 6 months reprieve is there. We'll get to know what happens on February 1st. But my sense is the government should not increase taxes even then. So we are positive on ITC. Definitely, we see new highs being made in the coming months. And hotel demerger also, it's in the final lap. So that also, the further approvals are likely to come. So we are positive on ITC, and the valuation comfort plus the 4% dividend yield is also there. So yes, the stock should do well. Near-term numbers will be a bit muted. We expect 2 to 3% volume growth in the cigarette business in Q1. But in the rest of the business, we see a recovery because of the rural.
Oh. Okay, and what about Titan? This customs duty on gold and silver has been reduced from 10% to 6%. What kind of impact do you think it would have on Titan in the near to medium term?
I think it's a very, very welcome initiative because smuggling had become very rampant. So a lot of the local jewelers who were able to compete, because of the smuggled gold, those will clearly see much tougher to get the smuggling, because now the difference is much limited versus legal and the smuggled gold, because now from 15% the duty is down to 6%. So clearly 9% kind of a cut on the gold pricing is happening, and that's going to propel a lot of volumes before the festival season. So yes, good benefit for all jewelers, including Titan. But in near term, what will happen, whatever the jewelers have paid with higher custom duty till yesterday, that small time inventory loss can happen. Whenever the results come, we'll get more clarity. But that's just a one-off. So yes, clearly volumes will go up before the festival season. So this will also help them become more competitive versus the local jewelers. So that's a positive for the sector and for Titan also.
Abneesh, just one last point. I was sort of discussing this with Naren earlier, that rural sort of allocation is down once again in 25 over 24. And it is, that budgeted number. And this has been true for the last 4-5 years. So, that broad fillip which many were expecting, I mean, that's not really come through, has it?
So 2-3 things. Naren also highlighted that you have to look at the indirect bit also in terms of the infrastructure development. If Bihar and Andhra are going to see so much infrastructure development, obviously that's done by the rural poor in terms of jobs, plus the skill development and all this initiative of the jobs which the government is driving. Please also note what Maharashtra government has done, right? So many freebies. So don't look at the union budget only. You'll have to look at what Karnataka government came back to power by those 5 promises of 52,000 crore outlay to the rural and urban poor. So I will say that this is a mix of the union government and the state government. So that's clearly there. Now coming to specific numbers, if you see 2.66 lakh crore for the rural development, 1.5 lakh crore for agri, everything doesn't need to happen in budget. If you see MSP hikes also, which came around 1.5 months back, that was also much higher than the last 6-year average. So government is going in the right way. We have the 5-year visibility of a coalition government. And currently, if you see the elections, whatever data is coming, I will say that the government will be very focused on the rural and urban poor both.
All right, got that. Abneesh, good to speak with you. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC-TV18.